When you educated me on high early cash value life insurance, what stuck out to me the most and what really intrigued me was the protection side of my money. And it's not just a lack of volatility, it is pure absence of volatility. There is no way for my money to go down in value. Subset A to that is not only can it not go down, it will not stay stagnant and stay flat because there is a guaranteed rate of interest contractually on these policies that my money will receive in perpetuity forever.
How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. I am joined today by Sean Ryder. How's it going, man?
Oh, just juggling the daughter walking in right before a podcast hits record, and we're getting there. It's almost school session in the next 2 days. So it's been a great summer. Grateful for all the time that I've spent with her. Mondays are the days where she lets me record the podcast, but still got to juggle the interference. So what's happening in the Smith RV?
Oh, no problem, man. You know, family's important. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if she's interrupted.
No, I love it.
In the RV, nothing. I'm getting settled in to a routine, running and lifting and feel like myself, doing work, getting shit done.
Perfect.
So that's good. I feel like myself again, kind of.
I cannot imagine. I've already said my piece on that thought. I was like, man, just the little bit of travel I've done this summer and having a kid home is throwing me for a little loop. Loved every minute of it, but I like my routine. So I can't imagine what life has been for you guys the past 3 or 4 months. I did see your wife posted the amount of laundry that she had to do was something she did not expect. And I'm assuming the laundry, the washer dryer is smaller than one you would have in a normal house. So it just takes more loads or what?
Yeah, they're pretty decent sized, but they're not as big as the ones we had at our house, obviously, because we had huge ass front loaders and stuff at our house. I mean, these are front load, but they're smaller.
Yeah.
But kids, I don't know. The kids are outside more. They get dirtier. They play in the rain every single time it rains. So we'll have soaking wet house of clothes.
There you go.
I mean, what we live in now is smaller than our master bedroom at our house. So all 6 of us live in essentially a smaller space than our master bedroom. So it's good.
Whew. Someday you'll find yourself back in a house.
I don't know, man. We're loving it. We've embraced it, and it's good living. And there's new stuff to do every day. We're doing an alpine slide this week and some other stuff. So it'll be fun. Fantastic.
All right, man. Well, today's topic is going to be a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of why behind what I've done with finances. We've dropped a few episodes, not only the 7 levels of financial freedom, but what was on Sean Ryder's mind. I talked about selling a short-term rental, and I made a comment in that podcast that sparked, a few DM questions. And it was, as soon as that money from the sale hit my bank account, then I immediately moved that money into my own banking system via high early cash value life insurance. It's of no surprise to anyone listening to this podcast that you and I are practitioners of the infinite banking concept. Today's episode is not to divulge and go into super high detail on what IBC is. We have other episodes explaining why what that is. But today's episode is kind of like how I got started in it, why it sparked my interest. So if you're cool with that, I'm just going to kind of tell a little story on how I got started, which does involve Jeff, by the way.
Yep. Let's go.
Perfect. So, long story short, I was always a hoarder of cash. It doesn't matter if I was 15 years old working at the produce section of Wise Markets in Hanover, Pennsylvania. I did not have direct deposit for my paycheck, so I'd receive my paycheck. I'd go next door to the bank. They would cash my paycheck. I would go home and I would put it under my mattress. And I remember being 15, 16 years old and having over $1,000 cash, and I would essentially check and count that money every couple of days to make sure my brothers did not steal it. So as I got older and I became a teacher, and even though I didn't get paid well, I still had a good savings rate. I really liked, I did have direct deposit at that time. And I liked that teachers got paid on the last day of every month. So you kind of had to like stretch your money throughout 30 days because you weren't getting paid every 2 weeks. And so I really liked getting a paycheck and taking at least like the first half or the first 2/3 of the month and only paying for things that I needed, right? Essentially food and gas. And then at the end of the month, I would kind of see like what I was on track to have an increase in my bank account from. And so it was essentially a built in pay as you go savings rate. It would be like, okay, I got paid $2,300 after taxes halfway through the month as a 22, 23-year-old single guy. I only spent $1,000. And so halfway through the month, I would have an extra $1,300 in my bank balance. And at that point, I would decide, is there something I want to spend my money on or not? 90% of the time, I would tell myself I would rather have the money than have the things. So long story short, in my mid 20s, I was able to save a decent amount of money. I mean, you're talking $20,000, $30,000 as a 24-year-old that never had any money growing up. And then I was fortunate enough to build a business. Took a couple years. That business started to take off, and I got married. My wife was a good saver. She made good income. We had good family savings, and eventually, I got to a point where I had six figures in a bank account. And that's when I really realized I needed help with money. And I found Jeff and got on a call with Jeff as my mentor. And on the first call, he asked me what my problem was, and I said, "This is a first world problem, but this is the first time I have six figures in a bank account." I know keeping it in there long term is not going to be a good play, but you need to know that I also don't want to put it in the stock market. I'm not sure why I don't want it there. In my mind, I don't like seeing numbers go up and down, regardless of what the historical averages are. I just want to know that that money is protected. And that's when you said, have you ever heard of high early cash value life insurance? So went down a rabbit hole, learned about that. What the people need to hear after that story is, one, I was a saver. I was a hoarder of money. So if you can relate to that, me too. We are the same. Okay. These are mostly high achievers, people that work hard for their money, and they don't want to see it disappear. Now, there might be a variety of reasons as to why people aren't putting their money in the stock market. Mine, I'm a little more clear on why I don't do that now, but before I just didn't like seeing it go down. If I worked really hard for that money, I didn't want to see it go down. Okay, so when you educated me on high early cash value life insurance, what stuck out to me the most and what really intrigued me was, first and foremost, the protection side of my money, the lack of volatility. And it's not just a lack of volatility, it is pure absence of volatility. There is no way for my money to go down in value. That was really intriguing to me. Subset A to that is, not only can it not go down, it will not stay stagnant and stay flat. Why is that? Because there is a guaranteed rate of interest contractually on these policies that my money will receive in perpetuity forever. That's guaranteed. So whatever those numbers are, depending on the exact product, is somewhere between 2 to 4%. Some people will be great. That barely keeps up with historic inflation. Cool. That's not why I'm putting it there. I just like to know that I get a guaranteed rate of interest. I also get dividends on top. Dividends can fluctuate. They're consistent with the companies I use. They're always paid out. So all in all, when I see that these policies are getting 6% returns and they can't go down in value, from an entrepreneur mind, I really like that. And how I articulate that to people today is, you can say like, oh, you're getting 6% and I'm getting 10% historically doing these other things. Okay, fine and dandy. If you're only going to look at ROI, you're missing the rest of the conversation. With that being said, they're not putting any value on the utility of guarantees. And I can't give you a specific number, but it's like, let's just say I'm getting 6%. What is the value from an entrepreneur's perspective that I know I'm getting a minimum of 6% and I'll never have a negative 6% year? When I know that I'm getting these returns, when I know guaranteed that my money will continue to go up in value in perpetuity, I don't ever have to think about it. I don't have to worry about what's going on in the macroeconomics. I don't have to worry about what the stock market is doing. I don't have to worry about what the S&P is doing. I don't have to worry about what the economy is doing. I don't have to worry about these other countries. I don't have to worry about any of that. So the value that puts on the brain space that I have is huge. It's even hard to articulate. It's hard to put a value on it, but I can go do my thing. The second big component to that is, even though, and whether you're an entrepreneur that owns a business or a high W-2 income earner, someone that has a skill set that a company pays you for, even though that's the thing I know my business, I know my role, I know what I'm going to do, okay? It's still the riskiest thing, quote, in my portfolio. My businesses, at least the service-based businesses, not necessarily the real estate that I invest in, that's a different type of, quote, risk in my mind. But let's say my old gym business or my new gym business, that's the thing I know. But it's the riskiest thing no matter what. It's a business. It's risky no matter what. Okay. It's not like I own the electric company in town, right? I don't own the utility company in town, the water company in town. I don't own the internet company that has a market on this town, a monopoly on this town. Right? I own a service-based business that mine in particular, you might be able to recognize it in your own business if you're a listener, is my business is mainly funded with discretionary dollars, right? So when the economy does turn, my business has the potential to take a hit. So if my business has the potential to take a hit in downtimes, I don't want my investments, my money that I've worked hard to save, I don't want it to take a hit. So the way I view this is, and I can take the term from Nassim Taleb from Anti-Fragile, this is my barbell investment strategy. On the far right risky side is my businesses, my active income sources. I view those as risky, even though in the same breath I tell you those are the things that I understand and know. On the opposite side of the barbell is the most conservative thing I can think of that's not a POS bank account. It is high early cash value life insurance. I'm getting 6% on my money. I'm getting guaranteed death benefit protection. And as an entrepreneur, I can leverage it. So I just talked for 10 minutes straight. At the end of the day, good saver. I wanted to protect my money. I wanted guarantees so I didn't have to worry about what was going macroeconomically. As an entrepreneur, I understand that my business is my riskiest asset. So I implemented a barbell strategy where I will allow my businesses to be the risky asset, and then I protect my money in something conservative. And then I have leveraged the life insurance loan provisions without liquidating my account to acquire cash flowing real estate. The cash flow real estate is the long-term wealth play. The businesses are great. They may pay off long run, but that's kind of like the income play. And then the real estate will be the wealth play. Does any of that stick out to you, Jeff, as when you got started in cash value life insurance?
Yeah, all of it, really. I mean, I've talked to you before at different times that like I continue to have aha moments about these things and like ways to utilize them and strategize them. And they're always good because of what you stated. I mean, like you can't overstate what you said, which is like, on the conservative side of things, you're looking at a 6% rate of return no matter what, which from a business owner, a producer, a person that likes to go out and achieve and chase, that can be really freeing because it can really allow you to forecast where you want to go. So let's say you don't like any investments besides like saving your money, and that's all you're good at. Like, okay, then we can say your active income needs to reach what point and your savings needs to reach what point till you'll live off 6% or whatever, right? And so you don't have to do this like 4% rule aggregated method over time. Like, how much money do you need to actually have to survive? Like, the 4% rule is like a normal thing that you know about, I'm sure. But like, if the stock market returns 8%, you're going to live off of 4% because then you're not cannibalizing your nest egg, right? With these situations, you don't have to do that because you're getting that 6% guaranteed rate of return, and so you're even money ahead. So let's say you wanted to go out and make $5 million because you wanted $300,000 to live on each and every year, right? So like with that 6% guaranteed rate of return, you know what number you need to hit, as opposed to a fluctuating market where you may have 27% one year and down 13% the following year. So your work is always rewarded in that situation. And then you're just talking about the icing on the cake to be able to use it to buy more assets, to buy more equipment, to reinvest in your business. I mean, the simplest way to do it and get used to it is just start saving, just like you did in a savings account. Use it that way, then pay off any unsecured debt with it, because it's gonna eat up any interest rate you would be paying to a bank or a credit card company or anything like that. Then from there, you're debt free and you've got your savings account still. Then you could look at, I would use it to identify ways you could reinvest in your business to speed up the money you're already making, because that's what you know, like, and trust the most. And then I would go on to external assets, which is what we're investing in now, right? Like buildings, real estate, shit like that. And so like that's kind of the stair step method I would use to create more experience and trust in how to use the policies too.
Yeah, definitely. As the tattoo empire, you went a little tactical there. And so that's definitely something, if what I said resonated with someone and they're out there and they either have personal credit card debt or business credit card debt at 19+%, and they're accelerating the payments because someone on YouTube that has 1 million followers told them to pay off all credit cards. Every dollar they send to the credit card company saves them 19% interest, but it's a dollar they're not going to get back. And so what we would prefer the entrepreneurs, especially in our system, to do is take all that money, put it in a life insurance policy, and then pull a loan from the life insurance company to pay off that credit card. They immediately recapture the 19% returns, and their debt goes from 19% to 5.5% right now. Then they pay the life insurance company back on the same timeline that they planned on paying the credit card company. The difference being that, let's say it takes 18 months to get all those paid off. In 18 months, all that money you put into the life insurance company has been growing at 6%. It did not disappear. You did not liquidate it. Okay. I know we said that on other podcasts, and it's not to explain the IBC today, but from a mathematical standpoint with infinite banking, this is the thing that blew my mind. I had to wrap my mind around. Not only could I borrow money from the life insurance company without tapping into my own money, I had to really wrap my mind around uninterrupted compound interest. And the fact that the money, I've learned about compound interest, right? They taught me that in first grade with pennies, right? The issue in reality was we all interrupt our compounding. People touch their savings account to put a down payment on a house. They touch their savings account for the emergency. That's why it's emergency fund. Well, the issue is when you have an emergency, you now have to start over. When you put a down payment on a house, whether that's your primary residence or an investment, you have to start over. Oh, you've been a good steward through your 20s and you invested in a 401k, and then you became 30 and you had no additional savings. You got married and you needed to buy a house. And so you liquidated your 401k to buy the house because you need a place to live in. Now you're starting over. I had to wrap my mind around uninterrupted compound interest. And for a lot of people, that's a hard thing to grasp. You're telling me, yes, entrepreneur, I'm telling you, every dollar you put into this system will grow forever, even when you leverage the policies. And to me, Jeff, it blew my mind. And I immediately went from a steward saver, which I was. And even for the first 3 years of my policies, I did nothing with my policy. I didn't have credit card debt. So step 2 that you kind of said here, fund the policy as a savings account. Then step 2, pay the credit cards. Then step 3, buy assets. I didn't have to do step 2 because I was already credit. Now, like again, I did what I just told people not to do because I wasn't educated. I paid off credit cards, and then I learned about
Yep.
IBC and implemented it. I wish I would have done it step 1, 2, 3, as we said. But I didn't do anything with my policies for 3 years because I was growing a business. And I could have leveraged them to accelerate that. But again, lack of knowledge, lack of experience. All I did was save the money. I knew it was working
Yep.
for me. I knew it was growing. I knew, God forbid, the worst happened. If I died, my family would be paid out. But 3 years post COVID, that's, if you listen to the other podcast, post COVID is when I really realized I needed to put these policies to work, because that's the first time in 8 years of running my business. I did build my first business on the back of the greatest bull market in the history of the United States. And then we finally hit the brakes, right? COVID happened. They locked my gym down for 72 days. We lost 5 years of growth and it didn't come back right away. That was the first, like, oh shit, this is a risky asset. No matter how good we are, no matter how good my team is, no matter how good I was at running a business or how excited I was to run the business, we lost 5 years of growth in 72 days. And I'm glad it happened because it really forced my hand to leverage these policies. And then once I leveraged the policies, then the whole discussion on apples to apples ROI, why would I put something in 6% when I can get 10%? I'm getting 6% internally. And then when I leverage the policy and buy an asset that gets 15, 20, 25%, now I'm getting an external rate of return of 15, 20, 25%, a la cash flow real estate. I'm getting 6% internal rate of return. And yes, I do have an outstanding loan with the life insurance company at 5.5%. So even when you subtract the 5.5%, if my money is earning 6.1, I'm still winning financially. Well, that's only 0.1, but I bought a 15 to 25% returning asset with it. So there's no mathematical equation that you can write me to make me, quote, lose in this situation because my money is in life insurance. Now, if someone takes a life insurance loan and invests in a bad asset, they can lose money in that asset. They're not going to lose money in the life insurance. So like when crypto was booming, Jeff, I don't tell people what to use their life insurance policies on, but for an example's sake, we do know some people that put money in crypto and they lost it. I had money in a crypto exchange and they went bankrupt and I had to wait almost a year to get some of that back, right? So full disclosure, I'm one of those people. So I've used the example, like if someone put 50 grand in life insurance, then they pulled a loan and they purposely took that loan and bought a piece of shit crypto and that crypto went to zero. Are they at zero? Well, no, they lost their investment in the they lost their money in the investment. They have an outstanding loan, but they still have the money at the life insurance company earning. So all they have to do, that can be stressful for sure, but all they have to do eventually is earn money and pay back that loan on their own timeline. Once that loan's paid off, their money never got liquidated. So they're made whole and their money was earning money. Whereas if they didn't put it in the in the life insurance first, and then they put 50 grand in crypto and it went to zero, now they're out zero. Then they have to make money. They build back up their account to 50 grand. Now they're back at 50 grand. They just wasted 3 years because their money was interrupted. If the money, I'm not telling people to buy crypto, by the way, with their life insurance loans. I'm using it as an example. So imagine that you're a business owner. Imagine that you're a business owner and you're making smart investments. Not only will those investments bring more cash flow into your business, when you pay down the loan that you used from your banking system, your life insurance policy, all that money was earning money to begin with. So it's just this snowball effect, right? People want to talk about debt snowball payments. I want to talk about interest snowball payments. I want interest earning for me in perpetuity.
Yep.
That is why I am obsessed with this topic. I post about this topic. I would love to have conversations with people that don't like this topic or just love having their money in the stock market, because at the end of the day, we can cut this situation, scenario, the context of someone's situation a million different ways. At the end of the day, on the long timeline, I don't believe anything can beat this system. When you factor in math, human behavior and the positive psychological benefits of having guarantees for the rest of your life. That is my non-sales pitch, sales pitch, and why I'm obsessed with infinite banking, Jeff.
Yeah, and honestly, you mentioned a bunch of things there, but like the thing that I hate about telling people to pay off like debt snowball or whatever like that is that sometimes it takes you years to right a wrong, if you will, and to get out of debt, and it may take you 3 or 4 years to pay off all your credit cards, right? I want you to get started on your wealth plan today. And so that in 4 years, when you liquidate all that debt, you're now 4 years ahead of wealth building that you would be starting at zero at. So if you're 36 years old and you're in credit card debt, and it's going to take you 4 years, and you're excited about accelerating those payments and getting that timeline, you're going to be 40 before you're starting a wealth plan, right? Whereas if you come in and you utilize this type of system, you can start your wealth building at 36, and not to get into the nuances of it, but you'll probably be out of debt by like 37 and a half instead of 40, because you've just eliminated a 23% interest payment that you would have been making to Visa or whoever. Just getting started with them and utilizing learning how to utilize the policies is the most important part, because then we can get super sophisticated and start doing some really powerful things. I've got a one-on-one client right now that I'm working with that's he did a seller financing situation on his primary business, and he's got a multi-7-figure loan for the business that the business is paying, right? Pretty big nut every month. So I'm working with him to design a policy that we feed that money into a policy first. And then, so some years from now, when the business is paid off, he'll have then funneled these millions of dollars through his IBC first, paid off the seller financing guy in a shorter amount of time, but then also have a monster 7-figure bank that has been built on money he was going to spend anyway. So there's a lot of sophisticated ways to mess with it once you get involved in them. And so, I mean, I don't disagree with you, man. They're the easiest. I don't consider myself a very smart guy, and the simplicity of these policies is what is so brilliant about them. They are like, and that's also what I think scares people about them, because they're like, no, it's too good to be true. It's too simple. Like, why would someone create this policy? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I love when my wife tells people, oh, Sean's good with money. Oh, Sean's the money guy. Oh, Sean, babe, you're so smart when it comes to this. I'm like, babe, all I do is put money in the most boring thing in the world, life insurance. And when we need capital, I borrow from them. And when we come into more money, I send it back to the life insurance company. It's literally the only thing I'm doing. Now on Facebook, it looks like I'm buying real estate and I'm building businesses. All I'm doing is moving money into life insurance, borrowing money from life insurance companies, and then moving money back to life insurance. Like, here's a misnomer. Most people listening to this podcast will come into money. They will earn money. They will save money. They will inherit money. They will get a bonus. Maybe one of their investments will pay off. Maybe they'll get lucky. Most people listening to this, they have the freedom to listen to a podcast. So that kind of tells me why most people listening to this, they will come into more money. My question is, do you have a plan for it? Do you know exactly where it's going to go? With infinite banking, you have one banking system, one place to put all your dollars. Regardless if you're trying to save for kids' tuition, regardless if you're trying to save for a car, you're trying to save for a house, primary or investment property, or you're trying to save to start a business, or you're trying to save for an emergency fund, whatever it may be. This is your one-stop shop for all those things. When you have all these different types of accounts with all these different goals and reasons and purposes and whys, it gets convoluted, it gets confusing. You're spreading yourself too thin. This month, we can put $100 in Susie's college savings, and we can only put $20 in the down payment for the vacation next year. Like, put it all in one place. Because at the end of the day, strategies might change, but your money management system shouldn't. And IBC is my money management system, even though my investments have changed over time. Jeff, that's all I need to say. My laptop battery is low and I don't have my charger. So let's send the people out.
All right, guys. If you have any questions about infinite banking concepts, shoot me a DM or Sean a DM. I'd love talking about this stuff. I'm happy to help you guys with any information. Sean's a master at this stuff now. He's educated himself at a very high level on it. But go out to our YouTube page, like and subscribe there for more of this content. We've got a private Facebook group, or a public Facebook group, I guess, the Tactical Empire Community. And hook us up, hook up with us if you have any questions about any of this. We'd love to talk to you more. Have a great week. Kick ass. Set your big goals, and go out and get them. Thanks, guys. Have a great week.